In 2013, I had the pleasure of hearing His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, speak. He comes every so often to Emory University, and I was able to get tickets and go. He's the 14th Dalai Lama and the spiritual leader of Tibet. He's Buddhist, and he's amazing. In front of thousands, he charmed us. He was whimsical. He offered sage advice for living with meaning and depth. He took his time, was careful with his words, and he told us that after a lifetime of meditation and finding himself becoming one with who he believed he was created to be, he had come to believe that one of the most important expressions of the human experience is kindness. This was no small statement. I remember that he paused and he backed up and he said, maybe a better word for kindness is love, but kindness is the outward expression of love, the love of self, the love of other. It's the gate that connects lives, connects hearts, connects us to consciousness. That's quite a quote. We know kindness as the fruit of the Spirit. The Dalai Lama comes to this awareness differently, which tells me something. It makes kindness the archetype, the gate that connects us across cultures and ages and even religions. Kindness is not bound to Christian ideology, but it is very much central to who we are as Christians. The prophet Micah tells us that we're called to love kindness, to be kind. We're to show kindness. It's a fruit of the Spirit for a reason. There's nothing greater that shows the world we're Christian than being kind to one another. And it's contagious when you offer it. When our daughter was little, she had a shirt that said, "Everyone laughs in the same language." I loved that shirt. It reminded me that we are all connected as humans. There's something that goes beyond geography and culture and tribe. There is something bigger and more integrative, and it binds us together. We all laugh in the same language. Kindness is like laughter here. We all need it, and we're all capable of showing it. One way we show kindness to one another is to be gentle with them, to laugh with them, to connect at a soul level. Kindness gets us here. It's a universal language, and it touches the soul level in ways that others and other things can't. And it doesn't take much. Here's some random acts of kindness, and tell me they don't reach you at a soul level. Next time you're at Aldi's, leave the quarter in the shopping cart for the next person. Bake cookies for coworkers. Serve at a homeless shelter. Do a 5K for a good cause. Pick up litter on the beach. Let someone go in front of you in line. Give a stranger a compliment. Make dinner for a family in need. Insert coins in a parking meter that's not yours. In their own ways, these are all gates that lead us to something deeper. You could say kindness is the gate that leads us to love. Do you agree? Simon Sinek does. He's a leadership guru, and he's written multiple New York Times bestsellers, like Starting with Why or The Infinity Game. Well, in his book, Leaders Eat Last, he's convinced that our DNA, that we're hardwired to offer kindness and to connect to people out of love. For him, it goes all the way back to the Paleolithic period. It's a survival mechanism hardwired into humans to rally together and to protect one another. Sinek says that we're relational beings, and we connect with one another out of kindness because deep down, we need each other to survive, to thrive. If this is true, then the Dalai Lama and Simon Sinek show that deep down, and I'm talking into the fibers of humanity, there's a connection, a spark, a union that all people share and can tap into. We access that union through kindness. And Scripture agrees. In Micah 6:8 we read, "For what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with the Lord?" There it is. God steps into our world and offers us a glimpse of what is required, a glimpse that will move the human experience forward towards the eternal. We are required to love kindness. Kindness is not something that we should just think about doing occasionally, though. Micah is saying kindness is the gate that we walk through in order to follow God, and we should do these things daily. What does the Lord require of you? To love kindness. Which we really should pause here and look at this verse in more depth. There's nothing else in the Old Testament quite like Micah 6:8. I mean, it's so strong, so straightforward and succinct in ways that John 3:16 captures the essence of the gospel. Micah 6:8 captures the essence of how the Old Testament tells us we're to live. For what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with the Lord. A little context can add even more here. Micah is an 8th century prophet to Judah, the southern kingdom for Israel, and his message is quite clear. Listen, Judah, you better change what's going on around here, or it's going to end badly for you. So what were they doing wrong? Glad you asked. Judah was creating systems of debt slavery, lording over small-town farmers, as well as aligning themselves with foreign adversaries like the Assyrians. They were making political allegiances over controlling land, and then they'd worship God as if nothing was the matter. So let's look at this larger context. I want to show you this. Here's a section starting in Micah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Woe to those who devise wickedness and evil deeds on their beds. When the morning dawns, they perform it, because it is in their power. They covet fields and seize them, houses and take them away. They oppress householders and house, people and their inheritance. This is the debt slavery piece. They're forcing small-town farmers into slavery to serve their political allegiances with the Assyrians. This is not good. And then there's Micah 6, verses 1 and 2. Hear what the Lord says. Rise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills hear your voice. Hear, you mountains, the case of the Lord, and you enduring foundations of the earth. For the Lord has a case against his people, and he will contend with Israel. God is putting Judah on trial for their wickedness. Plead your case before the mountains. This is a courtroom scene. The hills are the jury. The Lord is the prosecutor in verse 3. O my people, what have I done to you? In what ways have I wearied you? Answer me. For I brought you up from the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of slavery. And I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. And I did all of this so, and this is the last line of verse 5, that you may know the saving acts of the Lord. Now Judah, as the defendant, tries to make peace by responding to God's accusations like this in Micah 6, verses 6 and 7. Well, what shall I come before the Lord then, and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with 1,000 of rams and 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? You need to read this slowly and in context to get it. But God has Judah on trial for their perverted business practices, their willingness to enslave their own for political expediency with the Assyrians. God then calls them out on it. He asks, was what I did for you not enough? And then Judah's response is, yeah, just tell us what it's going to cost to get past all this, God. What's it going to take? Do you want me to bow? Should I offer some sort of burnt offering? How many burnt offerings? How about a 1-year-old calf, 1,000 rams? What's your price, God? How about 10,000 rivers of oil? My firstborn? Micah screams, no, you don't get it. You can't sacrifice something to appease God. You can't buy your way out of this and to get into God's good graces. You don't get it. He has told you what is good. What does the Lord require of you? Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly. This is the standard for life. It's not an act or a bit or an apology. You are to love kindness. We're to treat others with dignity. Go the extra mile. Stop using people for your own gain. We're to be in a relationship with one another and quit seeing ourselves as more superior. Judah has lost sight of this. We cannot. If we're going to be people who bear the fruit of kindness, then we're going to have to stop lording our beliefs or our actions or our cultures or our thoughts or our prejudices or our fears or our business practices or our religion over and against others. That's not kindness. We're called to love kindness, to respect and cherish the other. Here's more ways you can do that. Read stories to children. Donate blood. Leave positive notes in random places. Give chocolate to delivery drivers. Help someone with their bags or their buggy. Buy someone a cup of coffee. Visit someone who's homebound. And you can go litter picking in your own local park. None of these acts require a ton of preparation or effort. They just require a soul that is open to another. Not looking for an angle for your own gain. You just love kindness because you know it leads you to God. And as the Dalai Lama says, kindness is the true expression of love. So go do it. You know how. Teach someone how to cook your favorite recipe. Write a message for your work colleagues and drop them off in their desk before they come into work. Sign up to be an organ donor. Offer to take a photo of a group of friends who are at the beach, or maybe a couple. Leave a positive review online for a local business. Start collecting money for good causes. Give a friend a non-appearance-based compliment. Send someone you know a self-care package. Offer to babysit for young parents for free. Give someone a hug. Practice self-care on yourself. Learn to forgive yourself. Tell a new mom she's doing a great job. Call your parents. Text a friend you haven't spoken to in a while to arrange a time to get together. Let someone go in front of you in traffic. Give up your parking spot. Volunteer at an animal shelter. Leave your waiter a generous tip. Donate clothes and toys to charity. Plant a tree. Once you start doing things like these, the practices get ingrained into your DNA and it becomes second nature. If we're going to be people who follow Christ, who bear the fruit of the Spirit of kindness, then we're going to have to learn to love kindness. It's what God requires. It's what humanity needs. It's the gate that leads us to love.